So, UFC 323 is coming up this weekend, and I, King Here MMA, will be choosing who I think will win each fight on the card, and we'll be giving the odds and my picks. So, yeah, let's get right to it. For the first fight on the card is Muhammad Naimov versus Marion Santos. These guys are really good. They're both really good. It's actually a really good fight to start on the card with. Muhammad Naimov, he's only lost once in the last 2 years. That was to Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima's super impressive at featherweight, and you know how that goes. But he's on a 2-fight win streak against Khan Offley and Bogdan Grad, although those two might not be the best opponents. And Marion Santos, his streak of wins have looked good too. He's 3-0 in the UFC. And his last win was against Sadiq Youssef and Francis Marshall, who are two really good fighters. And he's had a better win against Khan Offley. It's actually a harder fight to predict, I reckon. But I think Marion Santos is going to decision or KO Muhammad Naimov. No matter how good I think Muhammad Naimov is, I think Marion Santos is just that little bit better from his last few fights. So yeah, let's go on to the next fight. The next fight is Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antero Tricoli. Very low level sort of middleweights. I thought Abdul Malik was a bit better. But both, I've done this again, sorry. I won't do it again. So Muhammad Naimov is $3.21 while Marion Santos is $1.30. Crazy. Anyway, they are not so. Abdul Malik, he's looked very average in his last fight. He went to a draw with Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage isn't that good. He's versed the lowest level of the middleweight division. And Antonio Tricoli, he lost to Trayshawn Gore and Shara Magomedov. Well, Shara's pretty good, but Trayshawn Gore is a shocking loss. If you want my thoughts, I think Abdul should honestly run through Antonio Tricoli. Abdul Malik is about the same odds. This is Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, $1.10 versus $7 for Antonio Tricoli. I think Abdul Malik's gonna sleep him in the first round. And for the next bout, Whiskey. I'm just gonna call him Whiskey versus Ibo Aslan. I get Ibo Aslan confused with Ibo Aslan. I thought it's not. What the hell? You know what I'm saying, right? He's got the exact same name as another light heavyweight. Anyway, I haven't really seen much from. He's a debutant, Whiskey. Well, Aslan, he's on a 2-fight skid. Mind you, it was Ian Cutelaba and Billy Alicena who's looked a lot better, and they had the most boring fight in UFC history. And, yeah, I guess I'm going to give it to the newcomer, even though I haven't seen much. I think Aslan he's losing to real low-level light heavyweights. And I'm going to give it to Whiskey by decision. I just don't know. Maybe a TKO. This might be the judo expert from Dana White Contender Series. I'm definitely giving it to Whiskey now I think about it. Whiskey is about $1.50 while Aslan is $2.60. So yeah, it's pretty good odds. For the next fight, Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. Whoever made this matchup is fucked up. Because while Edson Barboza should be honestly looking to retire, Jalen Turner's come back from retirement. Holy heck, that's a bad record. But, Jalen went and retired for a bit. He lost his, he's willing to like finish the fight because he was saying some stuff that like you shouldn't be saying as a fighter. Anyway, Jalen went on a pretty bad skid, and he lost to Ignacio Barramondes, he lost to Renato Moicano, he KO'd King Green, but what does that say? And Edson Barboza, he's had some pretty like close fights. Like he had a pretty competitive fight with Lerone Murphy, if I'm not wrong. He's had a few close fights. I think like Edson Barboza is a sneaky matchup for Jalen Turner here. Jalen Turner might have a unsuccessful return. This is a hard fight to choose. A lot of people think Jalen's just going to run through Edson. I could see that, but Edson Barboza is still crafty, man. Like losing to Jakarkos and Lerone Murphy should honestly be fighting for a title. I'm gonna be tricky. I'm gonna go Edson Barboza. I think he's gonna pull something out of the woodwork, and I don't like the fact that Jalen Turner is probably needing money. So yeah, if you want the odds for this fight, Edson Barboza is $3, while Jalen Turner is $1.40. So yeah, that's very interesting odds. And for the next fight, oh yeah, Edson by decision, I reckon. I think it's going to be sneaky. We have Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. I don't know how Marvin's still ranked in the top 15. I mean, like, if we look at his record, like, I obviously do this off screen. He has lost 4 of his last 5. He had a win over Roman Dolidze, but he lost to Roman Dolidze as well. His last 3 losses have been the all top contenders: Jared Kennedy, Roman Dolidze, and Brendan Allen. Not the worst losses, but not exactly great losses either. I'm very shocked that he hasn't been cut or like been sent down the ladder. I think Marvin's on the downturn of his career. I don't know how he ever fought for a title. And Bruno Ferreira, he's lost to one dude, and that was a Bus. A Bus pulled that out of his ass, I guess. But he submitted Armin Petrosian and Jackson McVeigh. They're not really good opponents, to be honest. And he beat Dustin Stoltzfus. Real low-level competition, but another hard fight to choose. But the thing about Marvin Vettori, I guess, is he's looked competitive in all these fights. It's not like Marvin's looked shit, totally. But like he looked shit against Roman Dolidze. And Brendan Allen beating you in the striking I don't like. So I think I'm going to go Bruno Ferreira by a crafty decision. The odds are Bruno Ferreira's $1.90, so about $2, and Marvin Vettori's $1.85. So I think it's good odds on Bruno Ferreira. I think he's coming up in the division, and I think Marvin's on the way down. And for the next fight, Nazim Sadikov versus Faris Ziem. This is a good matchup. I actually like this matchup a lot. Nazim Sadikov. A lot of people are underrating Nazim, man. He beat Nicholas Motta by knockout. He beat Bonfim. That Borishev draw that's very strange. Because Borishev ain't that good, man. And, he's been looking for pretty good lately. Especially over Nicholas Motta, who's always tough to fight in the unrankings of lightweight. Sorry. And for SZM, he's on a crazy win streak himself. I'm pretty sure he's not undefeated, but he's definitely his last loss was Terrence McKinney. But if I look at both their records, I think I like Nazim Sadikov's better. I think he's just been fighting way better competition. Like, for SZM, he beat Matt Frevola. How good's Matt Frevola, honestly? He beat Mike Davis. Fucking Mike Davis, for God's sake. And Nazim Sadikov. Nicholas Motta's hard, man. He's a hard fight, always. Ismail Bonfim, I don't rate him, but he's a better fighter than probably half the fighters than for SZM's fighting. And, you know, he's KOing, like, Nazim's KOing these dudes. So I'm going to say Nazim Sadikov by a crafty KO. I think he's going to get it here. And if you want the odds, Nazim by a $2.14 and for SCM, I'm going for another rough here. I'm going to go Nazim Sadikov by a KO in the second round. Or a decision. I haven't seen Fares in too much trouble. So, yeah. And the next fight, Macy Barber versus Korean Silva. I'm pretty sure I matched up one of the girls with Macy Barber. This is a surprise. I was, you know, when I found out they were matched up, wasn't much news on it, but, you know, Macy Barber, you know, the future herself. She pulled out of her last bout with Aaron Blanchfield. I think that should have been counted as a loss. But she's on a 6-fight win streak. She's She beat Caitlin Kament. Like, she's beaten okay opponents. Like, she's beaten Amanda Ribas. She ain't very good. And Andrea Lee. Like, they're terrible opponents. While Korean Silva, she's beaten fucking Dion, but they're actually kind of shit. They're kind of shit, actually. Now I look at the records. Wow. Macy hasn't really beat. Her most, like, relevant win is Miranda Maverick. Yeah, right. This is crazy. I'm looking. Amanda Ribas is probably her most recent. She hasn't fought since 2024. Like a year and a half. Korean Silva's been more active, but Macy Barber's is more. She'll come forward. I don't know. This is a hard fight. I'm gonna go Macy Barber by decision. I think she's still building herself up. I don't like the fact she pulled out of a fucking bout like 10 minutes before she was about to walk out. I think I'm not going to change my decision, am I? This is the problem. Korean hasn't fought any good. They haven't fought good competition. I'm just going to go Macy Barber by decision. I think that's a safe bet. Macy Barber's $1.50 while Korean Silva's $2.40. I thought Korean Silva was fighting someone different. Let's get on the next fight. Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. What a banger bout. This is probably going to be fight of the night, if you ask me. You know, Terrence McKinney's always down to throw down. So is Chris Duncan. They're always in wars. I always love to see them fight. They're on good win streak. Like, they're on pretty good fights. Terrence is, fight, like, 4-5. His last, like, loss was Estevan Ribovics. Estevan Ribovics should be ranked in lightweight. That's how good he is. And why is everyone getting Vishlev Borishev, man? What the fuck's going on? He went to a... Anyway. So, yeah, Terrence beat Vishlev Borishev in his last fight. He's just not UFC caliber. And Damir Hadzovic, I don't know. He's beaten a lot of cans, Terrence. I think this is a proper step up. And for Chris Duncan, he is beating, like, some of the best of the division. But Terrence McKinney's one of those fighters where, like, if Terrence wants to get you out of there, he'll get you out of there. But he beat Mateusz Rebecki, who's really fucking good, who always brings a war. He beat Balagioki, who I rate very highly. Oh, this is a hard fight. I think Chris Duncan because it just, the competition looks better. And, you know, like... But Terrence McKinney could pull it out of his ass. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, shit, this could come out of nowhere. I'm going to go Chris Duncan by a TKO or submission. Terrence McKinney is $2.50 or Chris Duncan's $1.50. Doesn't surprise me. But Jesus Christ, this is a hard matchup. Okay, for the next fight, we have Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson, you know, smudge grappler, classic. You think he'd be Dagestani, but doesn't look it. And hold on. His last win was it a TKO? Nah, it was a decision over Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira is still a hard fight at the end of the day, but it's kind of a more like older Diego Ferreira, and then his last win was Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia's actually looked pretty good in his last fight against Jared Gordon, even though Jared Gordon got fucking hit by a car. Emmanuel Torres, he knocked out Drew Dober, but he lost to Ignacio Barramendez, and then he beat Chris Duncan, which is insane. Like, that's a decent set of wins. You know, the Drew Dober one isn't the best, if you ask me. Ignacio Barramendez lost, but that Chris Duncan win's really good. So, this is a hard fight, but I think Grant Dawson by smudge decision. I shouldn't have to think about it too easily, but I've seen Grant Dawson get fucking slimed out by King Green, so you never know. And but I think Grant Dawson by a decision. Grant Dawson's $1.40, while Manuel Torres is $2.80. Holy hecker. And to the start of the main card, we have Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. What's going on here? Because Bogdan Guskov is very... Fuck, I don't know. Is he any good? Because, like, I swear to God, every time you look at his record, it's like, wow, he's actually not half bad. He lost to Volkan Oezdemir, like, 3 years ago. He KO'd Zach Pialgo, he's not very good. Ryan Spann, not very good. Billy Ellicott, very average. And Nikita Krylov, which it's alright. The problem is, Jan Blachowicz is literally fighting every top contender, and he's not active enough. He could have won that decision against Carlos Ulberg. He could have won the decision against Alex Pereira. And he's, it's real weird. I love Jan Blachowicz. And I don't know if he's on his way out, because he's looked close in these fights against the best light heavyweights. I think I've got to go with Jan in this fight. Might be silly, might be not, but I've just seen more from him. I've seen him fight the best contenders. Like, he's literally coming to close decisions with the best strikers in the division. I could see Jan getting a nice TKO. I'd love to see him end his career with this. Like, go off in the sunset sort of thing. He was a champ. But yeah, Jan by knockout, I reckon. He's $1.70, while Bogdan is $2.10. It's very respectful. And for the next fight, we have Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot's getting a very big step up in competition. Mind you, Henry's late 30s. Henry's lost his last three. Mind you, they're the best fighters in bantamweight. Song Yadong's a top 10 contender. Merab's literally the bantamweight goat, and Aljamain Sterling was literally probably the second or third best bantamweight ever. So it's hard to judge him off those losses. And he still looked good against Aljo and Merab, but in that Song Yadong fight, showed a lot of holes in Henry's game. But I don't think Peyton Talbot's going to defend the takedowns of Henry. And if he does, it's going to be a rough night for Henry Cejudo. And, he's got the reach. He's got that, knockout power. I could see a world where he just fucking sleeps Henry. But, I think it's going to be very similar to the Rani Barcelos fight. Especially since Henry's got the triple C. He's fucking gold medalist. I think Henry's going to smudge Peyton Talbot. I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton pulls something out of his butt. That wasn't a gay joke, I promise. But yeah, I think Henry Cejudo by he's $3 and Peyton Talbot's $1.40. That's crazy odds. I think you go on Henry Cejudo by decision is not a bad bet. And for the next fight, I'd like to start talking about the fights more, but I'll do that in another video. Brendan Moreno versus Tatsuya Taira. Man, Brendan Moreno, he's been the champ at flyweight. Fought Davidson Figueiredo 4 times, which is insane. He beat Steve Erceg convincingly, beat the fuck out of Amir Abazi. Lost to Brendan Royval, a pretty close fight. Lost to Pantoja in a pretty close fight. He's like a really good striker, not half bad in the grappling. But if you're that little bit better than Brendan Moreno, that's when you get him. And Tatsuya Otari is a real young. He's 25 years old. He just flogged Hung Sung Park, who we obviously all overrated. He lost the decision to Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval's crafty vet. And Alex Perez, I always feel bad for him. I thought he was winning that fight with, was it Asu? Yeah, anyway. I think Brendan Moreno is going to win by... I could see him finishing Tyra. I haven't seen Tyra too hurt in these fights. He's got good striking, but I just don't think... I'm going to go decision for Moreno because Moreno's got this experience. He's got good anti-grappling. Pantoja couldn't keep him on the ground for too long. I don't think Tyra's going to do the same. So I think Tyra's still young in his career, even though he's got fucking 18 fights, which is insane. I think Moreno is going to keep on the outside, bust him up a little bit, and take Tatsuro to a decision. But like I said, Brendan struggles with people that have just got that little bit more skill in one area. So Tatsuro is a better grappler. Just by that little bit, he will struggle. He'll have a bad night. But I think Brendan Moreno by decision is a smart bet. Brendan Moreno is $2.11 and Tatsuro Taira is $1.70, which is a very big surprise too. On to the co-main event, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. Alexandre Pantoja, he's the champ of flyweight. He's looked so dominant. He's on a fucking, how many fight win streak? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's on an 8-fight win streak. He's had 5 title wins, 4 title defenses against the best of the best in the division. Kai Asakura, He's beat Kai Kara France, Steve Erceg, Brendan Royval, Brendan Moreno, Alex Perez, Brendan Royval again, Monel Carp. The list can go on and on and on of how good Alexandre Pantoja is. He's a kind of a little bit of a smudge-ish grappler. He takes him to the ground. He'll try and get the submission. Otherwise, he will do his real awkward sort of boxing style. But yeah, that's basically the game of Pantoja. And he's looked he just looks so dominant, especially against Kai Kara France and Kai Sakura. But Joshua Van, man, he's so, he looks so good. He knocked out Bruno Silva. He went to beat the shit out of Ray Tsura. And Cody Durden fucking sucks, as I always say. But that fight with Brendan Royval was a dogfight, a very close dogfight. And that could have gone either way until the last 30 seconds where Joshua Van got in the inside and dropped Royval hard. And that won him the fight for the number 1 contendership. They say styles make fights, and a lot of people are going towards Van. I think, as much as I like the idea of Van winning, I think I've seen enough from Pantoja. I think he's going to get Van to the ground. I don't think he's going to be negative IQ. I think he's going to try and get Van to the ground. Van's going to struggle heaps. He's going to try and scramble upwards. Pantoja's going to take the back, I reckon. So I think Pantoja by submission. He's a very smart go of it. So I think Pantoja by submission in the first or second round. But if Joshua Van can keep the fight up, I think it's a real rough night for Alexandre Pantoja. I think Alexandre Pantoja by a second round submission. Pantoja's $1.40 while Joshua Van's $3. So yeah, and for the last fight and the main event, Merab Dvalishvili, the bantamweight goat versus Petr Yan. This is their second fight. And yeah, man, I don't know what to say. Merab's just looked unstoppable. Like, there's only one person in the UFC that's beat him. That was Ricky Simone. He's on a 13-fight win streak since the Ricky Simone loss. He has 4 title wins. One against Sean O'Malley, once against Umar, once against Sean O'Malley again, and the last one was Cody Sandhagen. He beat Petr Yan 45-44 decision easily. Mind you, Yan did have a bad wrist injury. Merab's looks better in each fight. It keeps going on and on and on. I think like this is going to be like, you know, a classic Merab performance. But I do want to talk about Petr because he was on a 3-fight losing streak, you know. He lost to Sterling. He gave away the title by kneeing him in the head. Then he lost to O'Malley. Then he lost to Merab. But those are no shame in those wins. He could have won that O'Malley fight. Crafty decision against Song, crafty decision against Figueiredo, and crafty decision against McGee. You know, like, I don't really rate those wins as close as Merab's but yeah, I think what I've seen more from, I think it's a closer fight than people make it out to be. I do think it's going to be more of a 49-48 sort of performance, more towards Merab. But the way Merab's handled of Corey Sandhagen and O'Malley and Umar, like, Petr's going to real close decisions with all those guys. He lost to O'Malley too, so I think Merab by smudge decision. It's really hard to get Petr out of there. That's the only reason why I haven't got him by finish. I think Petr's going to make it tougher in the boxing. I think he's going to try and, you know, put his power into that right hand and hopefully can catch Merab. You know, the odds are $1.20 for Merab. No surprise there. It's actually good odds for Merab. And Petr's a $4.60. But yeah, you know, man, another numbered card. It's sick. I've really got no rant for this video. You know, this is a pretty good card overall. I'd give it a... What would I say? It's a 7 out of 10. It's nice. I like, you know, like nothing too top heavy. The Jan Blachowicz, Bogdan Guskov, that's an alright fight. All the main event fights are really good, I reckon. Even the prelim fights are nice. But yeah, man, listen, if you... Oh, let's go this way. Let's get up here. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And, you know, I love coming back to do picks and odds. And, yeah, I'll see you all later. Thanks. Bye.